kind of thing. But for that time, it was a different Greece.
I like that. I like that. I ain't never heard that formulation before.
Yeah.
It was a different Greece.
It was a different Greece.
You know, I'm laughing about that, but you know what's real about that? I'm laughing, but what's real about that is we, to your point, have changed so much about everything.
Absolutely.
As a part of black culture.
Absolutely.
And we talk about how we eat so unhealthy and this, that, and the other. But my grandmama lived to be 95.
Thank you very much.
I mean,
my mom said, I'm living to 80.
Yeah.
She lived to 80.
You see that? So something, you know, something ain't right.
You know?
Yeah.
I've seen my grandmother churn the butter.
Yeah.
That's a different butter than what you find in the store.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a different world. Yes, it is.
That segregation thing that you put over there, bring it back. Bring it back over here. Come on, bring it back. I saw you put it over there. Thank you. Thank you very much.
There you go.
I want some of this now.
Okay.
You can't, though, with all due respect, talk about the joy of family that you just talked about. And I'm glad you brought that out. You can't talk about that, though, in your experience and leave out that stuff that you just brought back.
You cannot.
You experienced some outright racism.
We certainly did.
In your career. We think of you now and the star that you are. That ain't how it always was, though. You had a lot of racism.
That's very true.
Tell me about those on-the-road days when you were maltreated just because you looked the way you do from Georgia.
Well, my first encounter, because we were not brought up in our home environment to know racism. My mom and dad taught us that you deal with people one-on-one. They do you wrong no matter what color they are. It's wrong. You know, they do you right if they're right by you. You know, no matter what color they are. You know, it's in their spirit to be that way. So that's the way I was brought up. As you know, we lived in segregated communities, but we didn't feel it. We didn't know we were poor, if you want to call it poor. I thought we were pretty rich myself, you know, because we had a home. We polished them floors every weekend. So my first encounter with that, and yes, we had the things downtown when we went downtown, the black and white water fountains and that kind of thing, and I would go to either one, and my mom would stand there and watch, you know. I said, Mom, what color is white water? She said, there's no such thing, baby, you know. So she allowed us to be bold, probably knowing at that time that somebody could have shot her right on the spot. We didn't know it because they didn't present that to us. You know, that doesn't mean that we were unaware per se of the fact that there was segregation. We knew there were no white people in our schools, you know, and they knew there were no black people in there,
exactly.
You know. My first encounter with racism, and the Pips had to really calm me down because I was kind of really naive. We were on the road, and we drove everywhere then. And we had stopped. We were doing this tour. And we never came out west in the early days. It was all north-south. And we were on our way to Alabama. And we stopped at this gas station to get some gas. And I had to go to the bathroom. So we filled up the tank, and I said, I got to find the bathroom. So they looked at me funny, and I just marched right in the thing, you know. I said, could you tell me where your bathroom is, sir? You know. And he looked at me, and he said, we don't allow niggers to use our bathrooms. I said, what'd you say? You know, and I was getting ready to get indignant. Now, you have to understand, I'm only 9, 10. You know, I said, what'd you say? And the Pips came and got me by both of my arms because I didn't even realize the extent of it. These are African-American men traveling in the South. They lynched people. I wasn't, you know, I didn't know about all of the severity of all of that at the time. And I was just mumbling. I said, what are you talking about? We just filled up. And they carried me out at the same time. I said, we just filled up our tank at your gas tank. You tell me I can't use the bathroom. You tell me carry me on out to the car, right? I knew that much about it.
Yeah.
From that day was when the Pips started to teach me because they were my parents.
On the road? Yeah.
On the road. You know, after our first encounter, I had a chaperone, and my mom and dad got told by the Pips, we don't like her, and we will take care of her. We'll take everything on the road that you taught us. And from that day on, I didn't have a chaperone. They were my They were my chaperone. They were too strict, though.
Yeah.
They were too strict. No, I thought it was something wrong with me because they treated me like a guy. And I grew up that way.
Yeah, I'm about to ask you, so let's just get into that.
Yeah.
So when you're the only sister hanging out with all these brothers, it's a miracle that you are as well adjusted as you are.
That's true.
After all these years of hanging out with guys.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get to date per se, you know, and come to find out later they were threatening all the guys that would come near me. That was the only way they knew how to take care of me. You know, if I was on the bus, and we did many a bus tours, 65 one-nighters, bus, you know what I mean? And nobody could sit with me. I had a seat all by myself. And I'd be trying to talk to people, you know, and stuff, you know.
Wasn't working.
No. And the first time I smelled some marijuana was on the bus. And I jumped up and I said, "Who burning rags on this bus?" I'm sorry. For real.
That's funny.
And Bubba was sitting behind me, you know, I sit by myself.
Sure.
He grabbed me by the back of my collar and threw me down in the seat. He said, "Sit down and shut up. Open the window and put your head out the window."
Bubba, my man.
Bubba, you know. I mean, they were men. They didn't know either.
Yeah.
You know, but they trying to be big boys, you know, out on the road. You know, we can hang with this. You know, we don't do that because our mom said, you know, it would kill us. You know, we don't do that kind of stuff, but we got to hang with these guys. We can't be all.
When did you know that you were a star? Like, at what point, when did you know, like, wow, we have arrived. People know who we are.
And I mean this in the most sincere way. I never did. When I was on television, my first recital was when I was 4. She always kept us being kids. You know what I mean? And my picture was everywhere, you know. And then when I went on Ted Maxx, when I was 7 and I won the national prize, I mean, it was unheard of for African Americans to be on television. This is in the 50s we talk about.
This is Gladys won the original American Idol.
Yeah. Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah.
You like that?
Yes,
you like that?
like that.
Long before it. That was like Ted Mack was like the original American Idol.
It really was.
And you went on as a child.
I did. I was
won 7 years old and won the national contest.
Won the national contest.
So what do you think of American Idol and programs like that these days?
You know, I think it's a good thing, but my heart hurts sometimes. My husband tells me all the time, said, "You know what? You're a relic." I said, "You're a relic, you know, because show business is different, the world is different, and all those things." I say, but sometimes you don't throw the baby out with the bath. These kids are hungry, and it comes down to a zip at somebody. You know, when they're just looking to find out, what am I doing right or what am I doing wrong? And you can do that. That's not the spirit that as human beings we're supposed to have. But it's television and it's show, and I just think it's unnecessary.
Simon, we ain't call no names.
You know?
Anyway, when people ask you, which I suspect you must get asked all the time, running through airports and everywhere else, when people, these same kinds of young folk, ask you advice, now this is a loaded question, when they ask you advice about the music business, what do you synthesize it for me? What do you find yourself saying to young people after all these years of your being in it and being successful at it about the music business? What advice do you give them if they're going to get in this thing?
These days, it's a rat race. You got to know that up front, you know. But there are some things that you need to do. If you're going to take this time out of your life to prepare yourself, and it does take time to do this, and you're looking for this to feed you and clothe you and house you, you know, you need to really get dedicated to that and take the time that's necessary to plan this thing so it will give you a little bit of longevity. You know, I know that's a foreign word to y'all.
Longevity.
You know, longevity.
Everything is right now,
right now, and you ain't going to be here but a minute.
Yeah.
Okay? But there are things that you can do in order. I mean, when we came up, it was foreign for us to play Vegas. We were out of our comfort zone. Most of the groups that we came up with, the ladies screaming and falling all out on the floor. Jackie Wilson and Sam Cooke and all these guys, you know, all they have to do is step on stage and the women go crazy. That was before Tom Jones. Thank you very much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was a different environment to go somewhere where they probably didn't know what record you had.